why do you even need a customer journey map, right? Why is it important? That's certainly, let's just lay that foundation here for a second.
I'd say, another interesting question here is to answer this one is to ask, what are some of the problems we're seeing when there's a lack of customer success journey defined? And here's what we're seeing. First of all, the team is not proactive. There's no customer journey, so we're mainly are occupied in addressing customers' asks or resolving support tickets because we need to fill out our time somehow, and there's no direction from management, so we're going to be super reactive. If the company has multiple products or multiple regions or went through an acquisition, usually there's not going to be the same language. Even if it's a small startup and you have 5 people in your CSM or 3 people in your CSM team and there's no customer journey, one of you might call it implementation and the other one might call it onboarding. There's no consistency, and therefore, issue number 3, the customer experience is completely random at the mercy of the customer success manager's skills and expertise and what they think should be the experience or the journey that they will be leading the customer. So there's a lot of variability that I can tell you that customers don't connect with that very well. Finally, I want to say this. If you don't have a customer success journey, any kind of upsells or renewals are at the grace of whatever is happening at random. If you do have a customer journey and you do it appropriately, not only can you make sure that your retention and renewal rates are higher, but you're also going to seed opportunities for upsell in a much more sophisticated and intentional way that is proactive and well designed in advance. So these are the type of problems that customer journey maps tend to solve. And that's why you need to invest in that.
Before we continue, don't forget, subscribe to our YouTube channel and smash that notification button so that you don't miss out on any new videos.
There's many various reasons why you want to build a customer journey. Number one, it allows your organization to identify both positive and not so positive moments for your customers and act upon those. Now, obviously, the positive you want to do a little bit more of, perhaps tweak, make it a little bit better, depending on what your customer base looks like. And the not so positive or the negative, you really want to look at that and figure out, both from a data-driven objective standpoint and a subjective standpoint, why that's not going exactly right for your customers. The number 2 reason I have is it allows you really to work on segmenting your customers into what makes a successful part of your journey map successful for any type of customer. And then number 3, from a process change standpoint, once you have these built, and I saw, like you said, Dan, about 10% have theirs either well-defined and are tech supported. Those are big overhauls to make if you try to go in and redo the entire thing all at once. So having a well-defined customer journey allows you to make small process changes or small tweaks here and there to better your journey versus trying to change it all at once.
When is the right time to actually create this customer journey map, right? I mean, think about like from startup to first set of customers to, enterprise. When do you need to have this really well defined?
If you liked what you've heard so far, that's awesome. More coming in a second here, but in the meantime, I want you to click that like button so that YouTube knows that this is great content and you can start sharing it with others.
When you're starting, you need to have something outlined. I would not recommend having a full journey map before you have a few interactions with your customers, only because your customers are really going to drive what makes your journey map valuable. You'll make it, but they kind of define it. I recommend early on, outlining it, seeing best off of prior experiences, but then really looking to make it more mature as you interact with your customers and you find out what works for your particular customer.
Irit, would love to hear what you have to say about this. Do you have any recommendations for like some simple tools or techniques that people can use to kind of get this thing laid out on paper? You can start visualizing it and then start putting the actual processes in place. What would you, Irit, maybe kick us off on what you might recommend people get started with?
Yeah, I love huddling my customers in one room or one Zoom room, however the case might be. and really get all the people that might have an impact on the customer journey or have an understanding of what are the use cases or what are the inherent risks that we're seeing for both renewals and upsell, and then really think through what should the journey look like? What are the different phases that are important for our business model? And I'll give you some examples. So for example, in year one, we might have some inherent risks that completely dissipate in year two because we don't have the onboarding, or there's things that we need to double click on in year one, or opportunities that we can't really shore up very quickly with customers because we haven't built a trusted relationship with them. So I like to think about the phases as things that customers need or are even ready for throughout their life cycle. And then think through what are the inherent opportunities and risks. If there are any risks, are there any activities that we can weave into the process and the journey proactively to mitigate those risks? And if there are opportunities, for example, the first renewal that we're expecting at the end of year one, what are the things that we absolutely need to do in Q1, Q2, Q3, be leading to that renewal conversation so that it's a no-brainer for the customer when the renewal decision comes? That's really the process. How we do it with, Word documents or Google Docs and Google Sheets.
Should you share the customer journey map with your customers, or is this more of an internal document?
There's actually multiple types of journey maps for customer success teams. Forget the one that we do for marketing, right? Initially, we definitely want to create a lifecycle journey map that's for us, but then take the activities that are not super internal. Like you might have an activity called sales handoff. You don't want to show that to the customer. Who cares, right? But there are some activities that you definitely want to communicate to the customer. Listen, this is what we recommend. This is why it's important for you. And by the way, these are the people we need from your end to participate. And so how do you create an alignment and expectation is by creating this visual for them to say, this is what you can expect this year. These are the people. This is the scheduled activities we're going to have with you. And it's great to align expectation. Would I include all the activities in that journey map that I'm going to show to customers? No. Will I definitely recommend to my clients to create one? 100%. Yes.
I think if it's similar, if you think about it from your product teams, right? They have their internal product roadmap, and then most organizations have an external. I think similar here, particularly if you're looking for feedback from your customer on any one point within the journey map, share it with them, what you're comfortable sharing with them, and get their opinion on it.